I hope you're all doing well, and this week has treated you well while you've been at home. Uh, Most of you guys have done an excellent job on your test that you took recently, so great job with that. Some of you guys still haven't done it or turned in your study guide, so that's unfortunate. But you're going to want to get that done as soon as possible. I mean, you really don't want to have a test grade missing on your grade, especially an honors course. So make sure that you're keeping up with that, as I'm sure many of you are doing an excellent job excelling, working on your own. Try not to procrastinate. I know it's tough and it's different, but we can overcome this and we can do it together. As always, I'm here for you if you have questions or if you need anything. And I want to go over the rest of Look at Schoology with you so we can see what you got coming at you for the rest of the week. All right, so today is October the 15th. And as you can see, you have a journal, which there wasn't a place to write, but I fixed that. So thank you to those of you that let me know that. And then also we're going to do some notes, which will be posted to the YouTube channel as soon as this is over with. So you'll know that. All right. And then as for tomorrow, which is Friday, you'll have a journal entry. And then I want you to do the Module 3 vocabulary words. Module 3 vocabulary. All right. So there's 26 words. Use your glossary definitions. Submit to Schoology tomorrow. You don't have to do individual people's names, just the words that are found at the beginning of each lesson within the module, and you can use the glossary definition to do it. You can handwrite them. I just ask that, remember, like if you're gonna handwrite them, if you're gonna do that, make sure that well, no matter how you submit them, I want you to submit them as PDF. Don't send me JPEGs. Don't take pictures because I have to open every one. It's just a lot more inconvenient for me, and it's just as easy for you to do the PDF in the Notes app. Okay, and if you have questions about that, I can send you a link as to how to do it. So it's not that big a deal. All right. Okay, so if you want to get your whatever you use to take notes ready, we'll do Module 3, Lesson 1 today. Module 3, Lesson 1. And get that there. Okay, so Module 3, Lesson 1, it's all about in the last module we talked about Indian civilization with Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, and how a group of Indo-Europeans came from the Caucasus mountain region and conquered them and stayed, and they were nomads. And those were the Aryans, and that's what we're going to talk about first. All right, so this is the Caucasus mountain region. It's the present-day countries of like Georgia, Azerbaijan, Armenia, this area, okay? And to the north is Russia, to the south is Turkey. So it's kind of right on the border of Europe and Asia, and that's why they're called Indo-Europeans. So, but around the year 1500 BC, Indo-European nomads who had originally survived by going about the countryside, conquering villages as they went to meet their needs. Eventually, they make it into the Indus River Valley, and they conquer Harappa, and they see how well laid out the city is, the town, like the big wide city streets, sewer drainage, household garbage chutes. They just see how well developed that area is, and they become pastoral. They stay in one place. They no longer become nomadic. They even over time develop a written language called Sanskrit, which you can see in this bottom right-hand picture. This is a picture of what Sanskrit looks like. I cannot read Sanskrit, but there are people who can. And with this written language they developed, religion was also an important part to Indian life as well as the Aryans, and they began to write their sacred literature in Sanskrit. And their sacred literature is called the Vedas, Vedas, Vedas. And this is a sample taken from an original Veda text around the time in which the Aryans were in power in India. Okay, so these Aryans are they're from this part of the world. They're from the Caucasus mountain regions, and so they are Caucasian. They're white people, and now they are in an area where they're trying to subjugate, really millions of people and try to possess them and have ownership over them and rule them without them, rising up and fighting back. And so they have to create a system to systematically oppress those people. And what they create is called the caste system. The caste system. Now, what the caste system is a rigid set of social categories that determines a person's job, their income, and their position in society. And you are born into this. It's not like America where you can, work hard and be smart and rise the social ladder or fall. You're pretty much wherever you're born into is where you're going to die. There is not a lot of mobility within the caste system. Now, this caste system is based partly upon skin color, because these Aryans that came from the Caucasus mountain regions are lighter skinned, whereas people from the Indus River Valley have a darker skin color. And so they wanted to differentiate themselves as somehow better or in charge based upon their skin color. So this is one of the first examples of racism in the world. And it's kind of sad because this caste system in many parts of rural India still exists today. It still exists. Now, as you can see, within the caste system, it is very similar to the Egyptian societal structure, that there are 5 levels, there are 5 classes or castes in the caste system. Okay, now you can see here at the bottom, the untouchables are separated because technically they are not really part of the society. They are not even seen as humans, which is very sad. But I'm going to go through each one of these castes one at a time. All right, so we got the Brahmins, and they're at the very top, the Brahmins. All right. Now these are your people who are in charge of religion. They are, at the time of the Aryans, they were mostly white, or they were all white. So this would be like your Hindu priests, Buddhist priests, and we'll talk more about Hinduism and Buddhism in this module as well. But these are your people who are in charge of religion, who operate the temples, who take the sacrifices, ring the bells, do hours and hours of meditation. But this is the people who are at the very top. So the religion was held in a very high regard for the Aryan people. All right, the next level down is the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas. I know it's a big, scary sounding word, but you say it just like it looks. Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas. And this is a warrior class of people. A warrior class of people. These are your soldiers, and they were also 100% fair-skinned. And there was a reason why they did not want to have. You would think, why wouldn't they want to have the majority of the people doing the fighting? Well, they're trying to oppress and subjugate the dark-skinned natives. And so, in their opinion, it would not be wise to teach them how to wield weapons and arm them, as they may rise up against them. And so, the entire warrior class was simply of people of Aryan descent, the white people. So this is the second class. This is just your warrior class. The third class is called the Vaisyas. Vaisyas. This is your commoners, people that owned their own land and farmed their own land. This is mostly white, but there was a sprinkling of dark-skinned natives that were members of the Vaisyas, people that natives that owned their own land and could farm on it. They could be a member of the Vaishya class. But by far the largest class is the Sudras. The Sudras. This is the peasant class. They are the manual laborers. They're doing the same work as the Vaishyas. They just don't own their own land. They're peasants. They work on other people's land. This is by far the largest of all the classes. It's at the very bottom of the pyramid that is attached, and it is mostly dark-skinned natives. They do the work. It's the largest caste within the caste system, and they were subjugated by the Aryans to do the manual labor. All right. Now the bottom, which is not technically part of the caste system because they're not even the other ones are given these fancy Indian names. These were not even given names. It's the untouchables. The untouchables. These are the people who were given degrading tasks within their society, collecting trash, handling dead bodies. You remember we talked about how they had a sewer system that would drain out wastewater. Well, who do you think the people were that were in the sewer making sure everything worked correctly and making sure everything was moving along and moving? It was the untouchables. So untouchables, their presence is and was considered harmful to many people in Indian society. So much, in fact, that if you were to look at one, if a person from one of the other classes, even the Sudras, were to look at an untouchable, it could do harm to your soul. It could do harm to your being. And so untouchables were completely cast out, lived in a separate part of town, and if ever they had to go and be around other people, they had to take sticks with these special sticks and bang the sticks together to announce their presence so that people could avert their eyes away from them. So this still exists in parts of India today, guys. So it's a pretty terrible circumstance for a lot of people, and it was created as a way of subjugating and keeping people down. All right, untouchables is not a very large class and was not a very large class. It's only about 5% of the population. However, that's 5% too many in my opinion. Okay. All right, so family life in India. There's a picture of a lovely Indian family in today's world. And as you can tell by this, family life has not really changed that much because you live with your grandparents, your parents, and your children. So everybody lives in the same home. Grandparents, parents, and children all live together. So the eldest male, it was a patriarchal society. The eldest male held authority. So in this particular picture, this gentleman in the middle here with the yellow shirt on, he would be the head of the household, and he would hold authority over everyone in the family. In ancient Indian society, it was totally and completely dominated by men, 100% dominated by men. Women had very little rights, if any. In fact, whenever baby girls were born, it was often seen as a disappointment because they were seen as a drain on the family. It would cost them money when they get married, and this is just how they thought. So totally dominated by men, but everybody lived together, and eldest male held authority over everyone. All right, this is no longer in practice, but this was a pretty terrible ritual in which the Indian women had to put themselves through. It's called sati. Sati. And basically when a woman in India got married and she had to be totally devoted to her husband in every way. For example, the ritual of sati is applied if a wife's husband dies, she would be expected to throw herself on her husband's funeral pyre. In India, they cremate. They don't bury their dead. They cremate. They basically do, like as you see here, they build a fire and they burn the bodies to return the ashes to for reincarnation. We'll talk about that later. But women were expected to jump on their husband's funeral fire, to go with them into the afterlife and be reincarnated with them. So this was expected. So if a woman refused, You might think, well, what would happen if they just refused? Well, you would become an untouchable. So you had the choice of, dying or basically wishing you were dead as an untouchable. So really horrible circumstances for women in the ancient Indian world. Um, so that's all I have for Module 3, Lesson 1. And if you have questions, or just you'd like to have a discussion with me about some of the stuff we talked about with the Indo-Europeans and the Aryans getting involved in the Indian culture with the caste system and family life in India and the ritual sati, don't hesitate to give me a shout, shoot me a message on Schoology. Remember, tomorrow you have your vocabulary to do. Be sure you continue to keep notes and organize those notes in some way so that I can take a look at them toward the end of the semester. And I hope that all of you are staying well, staying safe, and taking care of yourselves and each other. So, if you need me, don't hesitate to get in contact, and I will see half of you on Tuesday. All right, so take care.